so sharp they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky, a righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down, for the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With his love, we're never ashamed. Lift our voices to the sky, a righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down, for the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. It's your man, Wise. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys pulling up today. I'm here with another deep dive in the day's political circus. It was crazy. What a busy day on Capitol Hill as all eyes turn to the high stakes confirmation hearing of Pete Hegseth, President Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense. I appreciate you guys pulling up. Please make sure on the way in you hit the like button. As you can see, I'll be looking both sides. I have a screen over here where I can see what's going on in the chat. And obviously the camera's forward. So I appreciate you guys pulling up today, man. I appreciate you. Shout out to the mods in the building today. T.A. Caskey, what's going on with you, brother? I think I seen B in the building, Zephyr in the building. Appreciate you guys. Also got to show some love real fast to new members of the ARP family. Shout out to Lucky Taylor. Let me show him some love. Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you joining the ARP family. Who else I got here? Ken Hansford. Shout out to you as well. We also have Kimberly Santa Maria. Appreciate you guys joining the ARP family. I do not take it for granted. I appreciate the support. Thank you all. We also have some new people as well, some additional new folks that have joined the ARP family as well. I want to show some love to Kip Johnston, Zephyr K9, one of the mods. She joined the ARP family. Appreciate you, sister. Bold and the Beautiful. Appreciate you. Chris, Terry M, Lord Pharaoh M Hope Tep. I believe that's how you pronounce that. Francis L Smart, Michael Hart, Jim Krebs, Jeanette Summers, Cesar Ramirez, Harold Jones, Jet's Mom, Alex Stein, Michelle Conroy, Jerome Ferguson, and Kenny G. You already know what time it is, man. Appreciate you guys joining the ARP family. Those are some of the latest people, that have joined the ARP family. What's going on, B? How you doing today, sister? Appreciate you pulling up today. Let's see who we got in the building. Where you guys are located. We got Jay Brittenwell out of West Hollywood. in the communist country of California. We got Teresa Powell out of Franklin, Virginia. Shout out to you, sister. Appreciate you pulling up today. We got Leroy Prince in the building, Shenandoah, Virginia. That's not too far away. Judy Ann. Ooh, I don't even want to. Maybe is it two, Roger? Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing that. Jonesboro, Arkansas in the building. Nonya B in the building. Cola, South Carolina. Appreciate you guys pulling up today, man. Appreciate you all. We got a great show, man. We have a great show. I'm not sure how long this thing is going to go, but it's going to be fairly extended. I got a lot to share with you guys. We got a lot to discuss. Pete Hegseth, that situation out there, Capitol Hill today, it was a mess, but Hegseth held his own. Shout out to you, RJ Hudson in the building, Lexington, South Carolina in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Who we got? Terry Wrights, out of cold Florida. I can't believe Florida is cold. Are you kidding me? What is that? What is it? 60 degrees, 65 degrees out there? That's cold. We got Diane out of Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, Diane. Y'all got beat down this past weekend, man. My Baltimore Ravens, they handled business. I'm sorry. But I appreciate you guys pulling up, man. We got a great show to get into. Please make sure that you like the video if you haven't done so already. If you are subscribed, great. But make sure you turn those notifications on so you never miss an upload. We got Margaret Bates in the building out of Maryland. I hope you're a Ravens fan. I would assume either Ravens or Commanders, one of the two. Maybe you don't even watch football at all. I don't know. That's my guilty pleasure right there. I love the NFL. I love college football. I'm a big football fan from youth all the way up. I like football. I can watch the youth. I can watch high school. That's kind of my guilty pleasure. That and playing golf, and then obviously hanging out with you guys, man. So, appreciate that. Who else we got in here? We got Denny Longo out of Ohio, Cheryl Wallace out of Texas, Jim Adams. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for pulling up today. Also want to show a little bit of appreciation as well. Nina from NPO Creations. Shout out to you for sending the care package. I appreciate the package. I'm really, really loving it. Everything that you sent. I got this right here. I don't know if you guys can see this book right here, but Violence, Lies, and Intimidation. William Siegler. I want to get him on the channel. I'd like to get an interview with him. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you sending that book over to me. I haven't had a chance to read it. I did read the first chapter, but I haven't had a chance. I got so many books that's, kind of in the queue. But if you see this, William, I don't know if you go by William or if you go by Bill, shoot me an email. I definitely would love to interview you, pick your brain, get an idea of what you were thinking about, when you wrote this book. He's also written about 5 or 6 other books. I'd also like to introduce, you, and your work to the audience, to the people here on the channel. So I appreciate you sending that book to me, man. I will definitely, get that read. It's in queue, as well. So let's get after it, man. We got a lot to talk about. So first things first, man. Let's get after it, man.
Would you use our military to take over Greenland or an ally of Denmark?
Senator, one of the things that President Trump is so good at is never strategically tipping his hand. And so I would never in this public forum give one way or another direct what orders the president would give me in any context.
That sounds to me that you would contemplate carrying out such an order to basically invade Greenland and take over the Panama Canal.
We got to set the scene, man. Let's set the scene real quick. So we have Hegseth, a former Army National Guard officer, and a familiar face from Fox News. He came in with a bold pitch, positioning himself as a change agent for the Pentagon. And his mission, hear me now, his mission is to revive the warrior ethos and roll back what he describes as corrosive distractions, policies centered around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And frankly, it's a message that is so far long overdue. This woke ideology in the military, let's call it what it is, man. We got to call it what it is. It's a dangerous distraction. The military's core mission, it's really simple. It's readiness, discipline, and effectiveness. Simple. Readiness, discipline, and effectiveness. Anything else that dilutes the mission is ridiculous. And for years, we've seen a steady shift away from focusing on defense and operational capability toward using the military as a vehicle for social experimentation. Under Secretary Lloyd Austin, we saw a greater emphasis on ideological training, with troops subjected to seminars and exercises on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Treating people with respect and dignity, it should always be a priority. But when these initiatives begin to overshadow preparedness and strategic effectiveness, it becomes a real problem. It becomes a real problem for me as someone who served in the United States military, as someone who has family members currently active in the United States military, in a multitude of branches. That's a real problem for me. And that right there is where Hegseth comes in, because he's challenging the status quo by saying, hey, maybe we should get back to the basics. And the basics is defending the nation. And predictably, the Democrats are not thrilled with this. They're painting Hegseth as some radical because apparently wanting a military that focuses on defense is a controversial subject now. You can't make this stuff up, man. And right on cue, we've seen a wave of attacks aimed at derailing his confirmation. They've dragged out old debunked allegations of misconduct, claims about inappropriate behavior and excess drinking and financial mismanagement during his tenure leading veteran organizations. I mean, it's classic smear tactics. Classic. And let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it real here. These allegations, they've been investigated and dismissed in the past. But when you don't have a, substantive argument, what do they have left? What do they have left? The only thing they have left is character assassination. Character assassination. That's it. And Hegseth, he didn't mince words in the hearing either. He made it clear that this is a coordinated effort by the left and their media allies to undermine someone that they see as a threat to their agenda. And it's a familiar playbook with these people. Muddy the waters, distract from the actual issues, and hope that something sticks. But the real question isn't about old recycled accusations. That's not the real question. It's about Hegseth. It's about, is Hegseth equipped to lead the Department of Defense and refocus the military on its primary mission, which is protecting this nation. That's the primary mission of the military. Love them or hate them, one thing is clear. Hegseth represents a return to a no-nonsense approach in military leadership, and that's something that we haven't seen in quite some time. Whether or not he gets confirmed, that remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure. This hearing has highlighted a growing divide over the very purpose of our armed forces. Should they be a tool of national defense or a platform for social policy and experiments? Which one is it? And that's where we stand today. That's where we stand today. I want to know from you guys, man, what do you guys think about this in the chat? What do you guys think about this, man? Are we finally on the verge of getting a military, or getting military leadership that actually prioritizes what it's supposed to prioritize, which is defense over politics? Or is this just another chapter in Washington's endless partisan warfare? Which one is it, man? Seriously.
The Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, in addition to the sexual assault allegations, and by the way, the answer to my second question should have been yes. I have read multiple reports of your regularly being drunk at work, including by people who worked with you at Fox News. Do you know that being drunk at work is prohibited for service members under the UCMJ?
Senator, those
Yes
are
or no?
multiple false anonymous reports peddled by NBC
Do you
News
know that
run directly
drinking on the job
contradictory
is
to the dozens of men and women at
not
Fox News
contemplated
Channel
and-
who I work with
I'm
who
not
came
hearing
on
the
the
answer
record
to my question.
and said they've
In your
never
opening
seen
statement,
that.
Mr. Hegseth, you commit to holding leaders accountable at all levels. That includes you, of course.
That's hard to listen to, man. I mean, this senator here, I believe her name is Mazie Hirono. I mean, she's something else. She is something else, man. I mean, honestly, maybe she should focus on not slurring her words before accusing someone of showing up drunk to work. I mean, honestly, you really can't make this stuff up, man. You just can't. And the Democrats have gone all in on this smear campaign against Pete Hegseth. But it's bound to backfire spectacularly. All day long, they tried every trick in the book to get under this man's skin. Probing, provoking, hoping that he'd lose his composure. But I got to give credit where it's due, man. Hegseth, he didn't take the bait. And God bless him for that, man, because he kept his cool and handled this situation like a pro. And I have to say, I personally don't know if I could have sat there with a straight face, listening to this foolishness. I just don't know if I could have done it. This dude, he's got the patience of a saint. That's what it looks like. Because I don't know if I could have handled that, especially when you're, being questioned by people and they won't even let you talk. She's like, I'm not hearing an answer. Well, lady, how about you shut up? When you answer a question, sit back and let the man answer. It's freaking ridiculous. And what gets me, though, is how blatantly disingenuous this entire situation was. So instead of focusing on something meaningful, like, I don't know, national security or Hawaii's defense strategy, Hirono wasted her time regurgitating old debunked hoaxes. I mean, seriously. Here's a thought. Maybe the people of Hawaii would be more interested in hearing how Hegseth plans to strengthen the U.S. defense in the Pacific, especially with rising tensions involving Russia and China. I mean, that's just too much like right, though. I really feel like that would have been a better use of her time. It would have been. What do you guys think? And frankly, senators who keep recycling baseless accusations, they should be the ones answering tough questions, or better yet, just stepping down in general. This kind of performance isn't just unproductive, it's downright embarrassing. And unfortunately, it didn't stop there. You guys, take a look at this exchange right here. I'm going to slide myself to the side, but take a look at this exchange right here. It didn't get better.
DOD. Everything you've said in these public statements is politics. I don't want women. I don't want moms. What's wrong with a mom, by the way? Once you have babies, you therefore are no longer able to be lethal. I mean, you're basically saying women, after they have children, can't ever serve in the military in a combat role. It's a silly thing to say. It's a silly thing to say, beneath the position that you are aspiring to. To denigrate LGBTQ service members is a mistake. If you are a sharpshooter, you're as lethal regardless of what your gender identity is, regardless of who you love. So please know this to be a true statement. So you say it was a political thing. You say it undermined us, social engineering. I don't know why someone having to publicly say or not publicly say who they love is social engineering. I think.
Why is she screaming? Why is she screaming? Can somebody answer the question? Why was she screaming? Seriously. I mean, this is like watching political theater in its most exaggerated form. Our friends on the left, they seem more interested in putting on a performance than actually having a real conversation. And let's be honest, this senator isn't exactly helping matters. She's part of a broader issue plaguing our government right now. Political actors more concerned with playing to their ideological base than focusing on actual governance. And don't forget, this is the same person who believes anyone can be a woman. This is the same person. Let me pull her back up. This is the same person who believes that anybody can be a woman. This is ridiculous, man. Cut it out, man. The grandstanding. Seriously? Somebody loves who you love? Like, come on, man. This is ridiculous. And meanwhile, all Hegseth wants to do is refocus on the military and on its core mission, which is readiness, discipline, and combat effectiveness. That's it. Let's get back to focusing on the mission at hand for our armed forces, which is readiness, discipline, and combat effectiveness. Simple as that, man. He's talking about removing woke leadership and restoring traditional military values, which you think would be common sense. But no, apparently that's too much for some people to handle. And instead, they're in full meltdown mode because he's daring to question the ideological narrative that they've entrenched in the armed forces at this point. And let's face it, man, Hegseth's push for a lean, focused military is viewed by them as a direct attack on their ideological playground. Simple as that. These people are so consumed by identity politics that they've lost sight of what the military's actual purpose is, which is to defend this nation. That's their purpose. Their purpose is to defend the nation. His vision, it's not complicated, man. It's about getting back to basics. No political posturing, no social experiments, just a fighting force prepared to defend this country and win wars. But when you challenge a politically charged status quo like that, you get exactly what we saw today: shouting, hysteria, and a complete unwillingness to engage in a serious dialogue. And how about the way that these senators, behaved during this hearing? They ask questions, then immediately cut him off or talk over him when he tries to respond. Why? Why? Because they're not interested in hearing his answers. Deep down, they know what he's saying is rooted in reality and common sense. He's simply pointing out that men and women are biologically different. That shouldn't even be a wild statement to say that men and women are biologically different. That shouldn't be a statement that's just so far-fetched for these people. It just shouldn't. No one is saying that women can't serve in the military. Far from it, man. No one is saying that. But the biological differences matter, especially in combat roles where physical strength and endurance are critical. And ignoring that doesn't just hurt our military's effectiveness, it actually puts lives at risk. This whole spectacle, it just highlights how far off track things have gotten, man. And instead of focusing on the critical task of ensuring our armed forces are prepared for modern threats, we're stuck in these, ideological battles that do nothing but weaken us. But hey, when you bring common sense to a room full of people that's, invested in political theater, this is exactly what you get. And you get exactly what we saw today. Simple as that.
At all that he plans to rescind or alter that guidance?
You're correct to point out, Senator, that these are the decisions that the Commander-in-Chief will have the prerogative to make. He has not indicated to me that he has plans to change whether or not women would have access to these roles. However, I would point out, ensuring that standards are equal and high is of importance to him and great importance to me. Because in those ground combat roles, what is true is that the weight of the ruck on your back doesn't change. The weight of the 155 round that you have to carry doesn't change. The weight of the 240 Bravo machine gun you might have to carry doesn't change. And so whether it's a man or a woman, they have to meet the same high standards. And Senator, in any place where those things have been eroded or in courses, criteria have been changed in order to meet quotas, racial quotas or gender quotas, that is putting a focus on something other than readiness, standards, meritocracy, and lethality. So that's the kind of review I'm talking about, not whether women have access to ground combat.
Okay, so
it makes sense to me. What he just said there makes complete sense. And these clowns, like Gillibrand, can keep pretending that Hegseth is somehow anti-woman, but let's just keep it real, man. He's not saying women shouldn't serve. He's making an important point. And he's right. The issue is with the quotas and the lowering of the standards, not with women themselves. Why doesn't the left seem to grasp the obvious? Physical requirements exist for a reason. You guys remember that case, out in California, the firefighter who admitted that she couldn't carry a man out of a burning building? That right there is the perfect example that of when you start lowering standards for the sake of inclusivity, you're not just checking a box, you're actually putting lives on the line. And now they want to do the same thing with the military, pushing to relax physical requirements so more women and people of the alphabet community can qualify for combat roles. And that's not something that should happen. Do you guys not understand that China is laughing at us because of these foolish policies? Russia is laughing at us because of these foolish policies. Have y'all seen some of these super woke army commercials? Are you freaking kidding me? Our military is a laughing stock in comparison to some of the other superpowers out there. And the problem is this, man. These politicians, they have zero understanding of what frontline combat actually demands. In Hegseth's stance, it's simple and reasonable. Set one high standard, and if someone, man or woman, meets said high standard, great. But let's not water it down. Let's not water it down. The military is about representation, man. It's about building the most lethal, capable fighting force possible. Simple as that. And frankly, it's about time we had leaders who are willing to cut through the nonsense and refocus the conversation on what matters. And that's protecting our country. A military that's respected for its skill, strength, and readiness, not for meeting some arbitrary diversity quota. And let's be honest, when the mission is defending the nation, you need people who are there for the mission, not for pushing a political agenda. But hey, not every moment of today's hearing was tense. There were some parts that was just plain laughable, like that ridiculous exchange with Senator Reid from Rhode Island. I mean, honestly, man, I couldn't help but laugh at it, but it was so absurd that it felt like a daggone comedy routine, man. I mean, this whole situation, man, it was just a complete embarrassment, to be honest with you.
Lawful authority. You have made statements to your platoon after being briefed by a JAG officer. Well, by the way, would you explain what a JAG off is?
I don't think I need to, sir,
Why not?
because the men and women watching understand.
Well, perhaps some of my colleagues don't understand.
It would be a JAG officer who puts his or her own priorities in front of the warfighters. Their promotions, their medals, in front of having the backs of those who are making the tough calls on the front lines.
Thank you, Senator Reid.
Interesting.
Thank you, Senator
Thank
Reid.
you very much.
Senator Fisher.
Thank you, Mr.
What a stupid question. Seriously. For the life of me, I don't understand how these people climb to these positions of power, man. It is truly beyond me. Seriously. It's like watching someone who clearly doesn't know what they're talking about try to act like an expert, demonstrating that jagoffs, often don't even know that they're jagoffs. I mean, I can't believe this dude even brought this up, man. This is a daggone Senate hearing. I mean, seriously, man. Senator Reid, he's out here trying to catch Hegseth off guard by tossing out a term like that. But, I mean, you've got to wonder if he's been living under a rock all this time. And Hegseth's response, man, it was absolute gold. I don't think I need to explain it, but the men and women watching understand. Reid, he basically set a trap for Hegseth and ended up falling right into it himself. And for those who don't know what a jagoff, it's a pretty regional slang term, common in places for the most part like Pittsburgh and Chicago, and it basically, it's a way of calling someone a jerk or an idiot. Nothing that you would expect to hear on the Senate floor in a Senate hearing. That's not something that you would, expect to hear. But it was one of those moments where you couldn't help but just shake your head because Reid probably thought he was being clever, but he just ended up showing how out of touch and dumb he actually is. And the irony here is rich, folks. Seriously, the irony here is rich. Here's Reid, a senior senator, supposed to be grilling Hegseth on serious matters like national defense, and instead he's getting schooled on basic military culture. Hegseth didn't even need to explain the term because, as he pointed out, his audience, the people who actually serve and understand military life, they already got the joke. They already got the joke. That's the difference between Hegseth and these politicians. He knows the culture. He lived it, and it shows. Once again, credit where credit is due. Once again, Hegseth's quick wit, and composure, turned what could have been an awkward moment really into a win for him. And it wasn't just about dodging the question, it was about turning it into something relatable and somewhat humorous. Although, in my opinion, it was just dumb. And it's moments like that, that shows that he's more than a policy guy. This dude, he's got some presence about himself. He's got the personality and, he's got the cultural understanding that resonates with service members. And that's something that these out-of-touch politicians, they just can't fake it. And speaking of being out of touch, we're going to shift gears for a moment, man, and we're going to talk about the media for a second. This is the same media that's been relentlessly, spinning narratives, representing facts or misrepresenting facts, more or less, or just outright lying about Hegseth and his positions. They live in their own little echo chambers and they're so disconnected from reality that most Americans, especially those in the military, that they deal with every day, these people have no idea what they're talking about. And that brings us back to today's hearing, because despite all the noise, the smear attempts, the loaded questions, the media-driven narratives, Hegseth stood his ground, man. And he didn't just defend himself with humor. He came armed with facts. And you know that these liberals, these Democrats, they hate facts. Check out this exchange where, he directly confronts some of the biggest misconceptions being pushed by the media. You'll see exactly why this guy resonates, with those who actually care about our military's mission. You'll see.
Story after story in the media, left-wing media, we saw anonymous source after anonymous source based on second or third-hand accounts. And time again, stories would come out and people would reach out to me and say, I've spoken to this reporter about who you really are, and I was willing to go on the record. But they didn't print my quote. They didn't print any of my quotes. Or I've worked with you for 10 years, or I was your accountant, or I was your chief operating officer, or I was your board member, or I was with you on 100 different tour stops for Concerned Veterans for America. No one called me. No one asked about your conduct on the record or off the record. Instead, a small handful of anonymous sources were allowed to drive a smear campaign, an agenda about me, because our left-wing media in America today, sadly, doesn't care about the truth. All they were out to do, Mr. Chairman, was to destroy me. And why do they want to destroy me? Because I'm a change agent and a threat to them, because Donald Trump was willing to choose me, to empower me, to bring the Defense Department back to what it really should be, which is warfighting. So I'm willing to endure these attacks. But what I will do is stand up for the truth and for my reputation. False attacks, anonymous attacks, repeated ad nauseum, printed as nauseum, as facts. We have provided to the committee, Mr. Chairman, and I know you're going to share, on-the-record statement after on-the-record statement from people who have served with me, worked with me at Fox News, Concerned Vets, Vets for Freedom, you name it, from the top of the chain to the bottom, who will say, I treat them with respect, with kindness, with dignity. That's men, that's women, that's black, that's white, that's every background. I have prided myself as a leader of respecting people, being professional. That is the balance of mine. I'm not a perfect person, as has been acknowledged. Saved by the grace of God, by Jesus and Jenny. I'm not a perfect person, but redemption is real. And God forged me in ways that I know I'm prepared for. And I'm honored by the people standing and sitting behind me, and look forward to leading this Pentagon on behalf of the warfighters.
Thank you.
Hey, now that's how you handle misinformation. That's how you handle misinformation right there. That was brilliant, man. He nailed it. Nailed it. He's absolutely right that the media deliberately pushed false narratives to serve their agenda, as they always do. But here's the thing. They're about to learn the hard way that the days of spreading lies without consequences are over. And kudos to him for calling them out directly and refusing to let them get away with it. And what really stands out here is that Hegseth's ability to stand his ground under pressure, that doesn't just reflect well on his character, it shows that he's ready to lead. That shows that he is ready to lead in a role where media scrutiny is 1000% guaranteed to be relentless. Having someone who knows how to confront and navigate these challenges head on is exactly what we need. It's not just about policy. It's about having a backbone to stay focused and push through the noise when it matters most. And speaking of the media, they're not just spinning narratives. They're in a complete free fall. And goodness gracious, man, it is a beautiful thing to watch. You guys got to see this, man. We're going to, because it's time to break down the absolute train wreck that is MSNBC, or as I like to call it, MSDNC. And let's keep it real. That network, it isn't about delivering news anymore. I don't even know if it ever been about delivering news. It's really just a PR firm for the Democratic Party. And guess what? Their Trump obsessed far left strategy is backfiring spectacularly. Their ratings are in the toilet. And it's gotten so bad that these people are losing to CNN. And when CNN, the undisputed king of bland and boring and barely watch news, starts beating you, things have gone completely off the rails. And now, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Rashida Jones, MSNBC's president, the first Black executive to lead a major TV news network, she is stepping down. And sure, she made history, when she took over, but let's keep it a buck. No amount of history making can save that sinking ship. So she's out before Trump's even steps foot back in the White House. And why? Because the writing is on the wall. Their endless Trump bashing strategy, otherwise known as TDS or Trump derangement syndrome, it's worn thin. The people are over it. Viewers want substance, not nonstop wall-to-wall outrage. MSNBC put all their chips on the table on, they put all their chips on being the ultimate anti-Trump network, and now they're bleeding viewers faster than Joy Reid loses credibility. And that's saying a whole lot right there. And speaking of Joy Reid, where do we begin with this lady? I mean, she's practically a walking punchline at this point. Just recently, she was out there peddling another wild conspiracy theory, claiming that right-wing billionaires are somehow responsible for California's wildfires. She actually said that. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. She's like a conspiracy theorist with the press pass, man. And before we get into that, we got to have a quick message from our sponsor, Lear Capital, because when the media is in free fall, smart folks know it's time to invest in something real, like gold or silver. Let me be brutally honest with you all. Our American values and financial system are under attack right now. You need to act fast and learn alternative ways to invest. That's why I trust Lear Capital for buying gold and silver. In today's volatile economic and political climate, precious metals can protect your wealth. Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and more than 3 billion in trusted transactions. Here's what I recommend. Call Lear Capital today. 800-489-6450 or visit learrp.com to request their free gold and silver investor kit. You can take possession of your metals, store them, or even roll over an IRA or a 401k into a gold IRA with the same tax benefits. Plus, they're offering up to $15,000 in bonus gold for qualified purchases. Call today at 800-489-6450 or go to learrp.com for more information.
For a bit, they acknowledge that whatever the initial cause of the fires, they were exacerbated by climate change, which has led to rising temperatures, longer fire seasons, and heightened drought conditions. Although, you know who does acknowledge climate change? The insurance companies that have been canceling policies in California due to the risk of climate change. And the people losing the most in Los Angeles County aren't the rich, faded celebrities like Mr. Woods who can afford to rebuild and to move into one of their other homes while they wait. It's the middle-class homeowners in places like Altadena, where an historic and stable black neighborhood has been all but wiped off the map and ignored by much of the press, while the vulture capitalists are already circling, hoping to snap up the burned-up properties for pennies on the dollar so they can hedge fund them into yet another batch of billionaire-owned overpriced rentals. But the worst part, other than the fires themselves, has been the lies. Though if there is one thing the billionaire right is, they are consistent. They want California, America's biggest state economy, because if they can take California and retrofit it with their ugly right-wing policies, the way they've ruined Florida and Texas and every other red state, where poverty rates are high and education is warped and non-white immigrants, pregnant women, victimized girls, and LGBTQ folks live in fear, then the fight for permanent control of America is basically over. They can drill and frack California till the fires this past week pale in comparison. They can rip out all the forests and hand over the land to developers, Florida style. They can drive out the brown people and the black and Asian people, or just sink them into the same apartheid they've created in Texas. And they will control enough electoral votes, if they control California, to never have to worry about another presidential election. The billionaire right knows that they cannot take California, home to Hollywood, San Francisco, and Kendrick Lamar, by culture. So they're looking to try to take it with lies and deceit.
She's hard to listen to. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. She is hard to listen to, and I'm sorry that you guys had to listen to that. Goodness gracious. So, according to Joy Reid, these shadowy billionaires are plotting to turn California into some kind of apartheid state, like Texas. What? An apartheid state. I mean, these people, the exaggerations, the comparisons that these people come up with are baseless, to say the least. Does she actually even believe this nonsense? Or is she just, making this stuff up for clicks? I'm trying to figure this out. I really am. But either way, this lady's pulling in $3 million a year to spew this type of garbage. $3 million a year to talk like that. And honestly, Joy Reid isn't worth $3 right now. I wouldn't trust her to babysit a house plant. And meanwhile, the brain trust at MSNBC thinks dragging Rachel Maddow back into primetime five nights a week is going to save them. They really think that bringing Rachel Maddow in 5 nights a week in the primetime slot is going to save this failing propaganda network. Maddow, the queen of conspiracy theories and endless Russia rants, has been coasting on a cushy, y'all probably already know this, but $30 million a year deal for a once a week show. This lady was doing one show a week and earning $30 million. Somebody do the math on that. That's 52 weeks. I would assume that she probably, takes a couple weeks off for vacation. So we'd assume she's probably working 48 weeks, maybe. Somebody, I don't have my calculator in front of me right now. Somebody do the math on what that is. $30 million for about 48 weeks of work. Now, they're cutting her pay and making her work full time again. But I mean, you want to talk about a sweet deal? $30 million a year. Goodness gracious, man. Sounds pretty desperate to me. But they're betting on her Trump tirades to bring back some of the viewers. That's what they're hoping for. But here's the reality. Nobody cares anymore. Maddow is supposed to be their version of Tucker Carlson, except she's less interesting and far more predictable. And let's talk about the numbers for a second, because the numbers don't lie. In December, MSNBC's key demo, which is viewers aged 25 to 54, dropped to 55,000. 55,000. For context, Fox News pulled in over 290,000 in the same demo. MSNBC isn't just losing the race. They're being lapped by CNN, which is like losing to someone wearing flip-flops, the thong flip-flops at that. And what's their master plan? Supposedly, they're going to bring in more Republican voices and tone down the far left rhetoric. I mean, good luck with that. Good luck with that. And to be honest with you, who are the Republican voices that are going to be on this network? And will they actually get an opportunity to speak, or will they be shouted down and spoke over, similar to what happens, when Scott Jennings, is on shows, blasting folks, on CNN? I mean, after years of branding themselves as the anti-Trump, pro-woke outrage network, they've alienated half the country. Honestly, they've probably alienated a little more than half the country, but I'm being nice by saying half the country. And now they're trying to pivot, like, putting a Band-Aid on a sinking Titanic. I mean, they got a problem. They're in trouble over there. And here's the real problem with these folks. MSNBC, they've become the poster child for smug, elitist media. Media, not journalism. Their host, Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, Joe Scarborough, you name it, they talk down to viewers while recycling the same tired talking points over and over and over again. People are sick and tired of being lectured to, and it shows. Add in, and you add, to the chaos behind the scenes, Rashida Jones stepping down, major budget cuts, Joy Reid reportedly being told to take a pay cut or get up out of here. Rachel Maddow being told to take a pay cut. Instead of that one day, you're going to work 5 days a week. You got a network that's in total disarray right now, getting their tail kicked by some of your favorite YouTubers out there. That's the truth. But here's the kicker. MSNBC is banking on Trump's return to reignite their ratings. You guys remember the last time he was in office, CNN, MSNBC, they made so much money talking Trump every day because people were watching it. But I don't know if that's going to work because they've lied so much. I don't know if the people would actually believe anything that they have to say. People, in my opinion, are done with the endless Trump hysteria. And the bottom line is that MSNBC, it's a sinking ship. And the next few months will determine if they sink or swim. My money's on the former. My money's on the fact that they are going to sink. And here's why. This is why. We're going to break it down real fast.
Now taking the lead in Bucks County.
NBC News now projects that in the battleground state of Georgia in the presidential race, Donald Trump has prevailed. The Republican Party will control the United States Senate. This is live from Howard University in Washington, D.C.
We still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted. Thank you all.
A short and to-the-point statement from Cedric Richmond, the Harris campaign co-chair. You now see them turn as one to start to leave the grounds.
The evening was getting increasingly somber as people realized what this map is looking like. They turned off the TV set and just piped up the music because the room was starting to get increasingly somber.
You know, we always knew it was going to be down to the blue wall, and the blue wall is still uncalled at this point. But it sounds like the Harris campaign is sort of keeping things tight in terms of whether or not they're going to string people along into thinking this is going to happen.
What they went to that venue tonight hoping to see and witness was a historic election of Kamala Harris to the presidency, was the end of the Trump era as they knew it. And so we don't know the outcome yet, but that is not what they are receiving. And they are being told to go home and wait till tomorrow.
And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. You know, I mean, she had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Swifties. She had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign.
In Western Europe and in the UK and in the Middle East, people are waking up to this.
Oh, and they are.
I've gotten people from Western Europe who are extraordinarily alarmed and terrified.
May I reiterate, there are 2 of the 7 swing states that have been called by NBC News right now, which is Georgia and North Carolina. None of the other 5 states have been called at this point. You can see this is the battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the so-called blue wall. None of those states called by NBC News. In the swing state of Pennsylvania, NBC News now projects that presidential contest has been won by Donald Trump. It presents an insurmountable future here for Kamala Harris and for the Democratic ticket. Let's watch as Trump takes the stage in Palm Beach, Florida.
We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Boy, it's going to be a real tough speech for her.
Wow. That was good. That was really good. And this right here, that's exactly why I think they're going to crater. That's why. They're never going to learn, man. They're never going to learn. They just can't seem to grasp that people don't care that much about Orange Man Bad anymore. They can't grasp it. Their entire strategy is built on this tired narrative, and they keep doubling down thinking that it'll somehow work once again. And spoiler alert, it's not going to work, man. People are over it. And unless they figure that out fast, they're headed straight to the bottom. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if they can. I mean, I guess maybe they could, they're already at the bottom, but maybe they can go a little further. I don't know. But it's obvious that MSNBC and the rest of mainstream media, they're tanking because they're completely fixated on the same tired topics. Trump, Elon Musk, Republicans, DEI, alphabet community issues, race protecting, protecting illegals, race or racism, you name it. That's what they're on. They've become so obsessed with pushing agendas that they've completely lost sight of what actually matters, and that's actually reporting real news. They're not reporting anymore. They're just reacting. They are shilling for the Democrat Party. They're pushing propaganda. They're the ones really pushing, and I hate to say it, but mis and disinformation, using their word against them. And frankly, it's exhausting, man. People are tuning out because they're tired of the endless outrage and division. And what viewers really want are stories that matter to them, stories that impact their daily lives. Kind of like this one, because let's be honest, it should be bigger news. but don't expect it to get much traction in the mainstream media. And why? Because it doesn't fit neatly into the preferred narrative. So what am I talking about? You may ask. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but you guys got to see this, man.
The suspicious materials in question were apparently discovered by a contractor who was scheduled to service the units inside this apartment building. We talked to her, and what she says she found were pretty clear red flags that needed to be reported to authorities.
I had the master key, and I went in there, and I came across a lot of things, and I was like, that don't seem right.
Melissa Caraway works for an HVAC company that was scheduled to service units at 533 East 33rd Place in the Lake Meadows neighborhood. She says residents get advance notice that they'll be making the rounds and entering their units. When no one answered the door, she says she let herself in.
And I came across some C4, some explosives, a rifle, a lot of fake IDs, a lot of fireman stuff, a lot of police force stuff, and it just looked like it was fake, you know.
She says the discovery happened around 10 a.m. in a unit on the 6th floor. She wasn't sure what to do at first, but says she called police about a half hour later. Video of the response shows law enforcement with ballistic shields, others with rifles. The entire building was evacuated, officers going door by door to tell residents they needed to leave.
I was afraid because I didn't know what was going on. So, again, I've been out here since like 11:15, 11:30, and I still don't have any information.
After several hours inside, CPD says its bomb unit cleared the scene as a precaution, determining the objects were safe and posed no threat. Police say someone was placed into custody on the scene, but no further information was provided.
You know, the bombing that happened in New Orleans and Vegas, so it kind of scared me. So I just want to call and check.
Certainly understand her concern. Police on scene began to leave this building around 1:30 this afternoon. Residents trickling back into the building shortly thereafter. This explosive scare again resulting in one person in custody, though it's not clear how that person is connected to what police discovered inside.
Now I got a question for you guys. Had y'all heard about that story? I don't know why this isn't national news. I'm not for certain why this, isn't a story that's being blasted across the country. People need to know this. This story, it should be front and center. An HVAC worker in Chicago discovers C4 explosives, rifles, fake IDs, and all kinds of tactical gear in a high-rise apartment. And what's the outcome? A misdemeanor charge for possession of ammo without a valid FOID card. A misdemeanor. I don't know about you, but that feels a little lax. I'm not even gonna say a little lax. That's very lax. And the police, they haven't even released the guy's name yet. At least as of when I was putting this together, they hadn't released this individual's name yet. Now look, I'm not claiming, to know who this guy is, but let's keep it real. Cities like Chicago, especially in blue states, have law enforcement walking on eggshells right now. They're extremely cautious, sometimes overly cautious, because, they have to be, especially when there's certain groups involved. And, I don't understand how they can say that there's no threat when you found C4 rifles, and tactical gear. I mean, you literally have officers, storming the place with ballistic shields and rifles, evacuating the building, and then suddenly saying that, hey, everything's safe, no threat here, nothing to see. I mean, it doesn't make sense. C4 explosives don't exactly scream nothing to see here. That's just me. That's my opinion. Fake IDs, all of that. That don't seem like nothing to see here. Sounds like a lot more than just a small threat. And yet here we are. This guy's identity is still a mystery, and it raises some serious questions. When you allow millions of people to pour into our country illegally without proper vetting, you're basically rolling out the welcome mat for potential bad actors. Sure, maybe this guy isn't one of them. I don't know. But when situations like this are handled with kid gloves, it just makes you wonder, What is really going on here? Seriously.
Aren't over. I've been on this network for 4 years talking about the threats coming across our southern border. And, we got a record number of known gotaways. Over 2 million people enter this country. We don't know who they are or where they came from or what their purpose to come to this country. They weren't vetted. They weren't screened. They weren't fingerprinted. We don't know who they are. And since the Border Patrol and CBP arrested well over 300 people on terrorist watch list, how many of that 2.2 million who escaped apprehension, who escaped vetting, who escaped fingerprinting, came from a country sponsoring terror? Even Christopher Wray, the director of FBI, said numerous times under testimony in front of Congress that this is the biggest national security vulnerability he's seen. I agree with him. So we're not out of the woods. This country is in grave danger. We need to secure that border. And despite what's happened the last 2 days in Las Vegas and in New Orleans, this administration is not stopping. They're still releasing thousands of people every week through the CBP One app, the CHMV program, and Border Patrol continues to release people in this country without proper vetting. This is not a good thing, and I can't wait for the new administration to take power and secure this border and protect our national security.
Well, the police chief was...
Yeah. When you allow millions of illegals to come in, many who despise America, it's only a matter of time before something serious happens. I mean, we're in dangerous territory, folks. When the media ignores stories like this, they're not just failing us, they're putting lives at risk. This isn't an isolated incident. It's happening in Chicago, one of America's major cities. With its sanctuary city policies, Chicago has become a magnet for those who may not have America's best interests at heart. Let's just keep it real. Combine that with already sky high, crime rates, and you've got a recipe for disaster. They literally ran into a spot that had C4 rifles, fake fireman outfits, fake police outfits, tactical gear, multiple fake IDs. We're supposed to believe it's not a big deal. We're supposed to believe that's not a big deal, man. This should be a national conversation, not just because, of what was found, but because of what it represents. A city where law enforcement is afraid to act decisively, where political correctness often trumps public safety, and they can't even name the suspect. This is ridiculous. I want to cuss right now. That's how crazy this is. I don't know about you guys, man. I don't know about you, but it just makes me wonder how many sleeper cells are lying in wait in our country right now. How many are ready, to target our infrastructure? It's very concerning, to say the least. It really is, man. But in brighter news, Elon Musk is reportedly considering buying TikTok. Yes, you heard that correctly. Elon Musk is considering buying TikTok. You heard that right. One of tech's most influential figures might soon take over the social media giant. According to Bloomberg, China is exploring a plan where Musk would acquire TikTok's U.S. operations as the U.S. Supreme Court nears a decision on whether to uphold a law that could effectively ban TikTok by January 19th. If upheld, ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, would be forced to sell its U.S. business or risk being cut off by third-party internet providers. This potential move by Musk is part of China's contingency plan to keep TikTok alive in the United States market. And if it happens, Musk would oversee TikTok's U.S. operations while continuing to run X. However, it's still early in the process, and ByteDance reportedly isn't even in the loop yet. But TikTok has been under fire over national security concerns, with U.S. officials arguing that ByteDance possesses a risk or poses a risk. TikTok's legal team claims the potential ban infringes on free speech rights, but here's where it gets really interesting. Leftists are losing their minds over TikTok because it's harder to control the narrative there. Just look at Romania, where there was a nationalist candidate who was winning, and suddenly globalists blamed TikTok for foreign interference without evidence and canceled the election. I don't know if you guys heard that, but they flat out canceled the election out there in Romania. And I mean, sure, TikTok has some wild content on there. I'm on there, but I'm not really on there like that. But it also offers real, unfiltered news and commentary that you won't find in mainstream media. And that lack of control, it drives the left crazy. They can't stand it. Now, with Musk potentially taking over, they're panicking even more because they've seen what he did with Twitter. You know, he ended censorship and gave people a voice. Twitter, or X now, has become, a beacon of free speech when it comes to these social media platforms. If I'm not mistaken, not that we can trust CNN that much, but CNN, they did a report, stating that, it's really that. It's 50-50. Both sides, voices can be heard on both sides. It's one of the most even, playing fields when it comes to, freedom of speech, out there when it comes to a social media platform. And that's something that the left just can't handle. That's something that they can't handle, and they are freaking out behind it. And I don't understand, these people, they continue to call themselves, the party of democracy, but they're always against people having the ability to speak their mind and utilize their First Amendment right.
I'm wearing silky ass pajamas. This is my fucking video. I can do what I want. Let me
Sorry
just
about the
say
language.
this. We don't want Elon Musk. We don't want Mark Zuckerberg owning this app. Enough. Can we get a decent person? Is there a decent billionaire who just wants to give people something because they want to? We don't want Mark Zuckerberg. We don't want Elon Musk. They give small dick energy. Elon Musk is small dick energy. All right? Mark Zuckerberg, small dick energy. We don't need that. And don't get in the comments, oh, you shouldn't body shame. Shut the fuck up. Some of you are too literal. Get over it. Deal with life, okay? Sometimes certain things are appropriate. Certain language is appropriate to make a fucking point. Like, honestly, it's like we're living in the fucking worst fucking, I don't know, sci-fi, cyberpunk type of movie or something, where you have all of these loser guys who never could get laid, who never could get any girls, who never could do anything. Now they have money, and these goddamn nerds want to just rule the whole fucking world. And it's beyond.
Hey, I love that. Who is that? I gotta throw this. I gotta throw this out there. Hold on, where is that? Which men on film guy is this? Quote of the day. That might be the chat. That might be it right there. Goodness gracious, that was hilarious. My apologies for the language, but the crazy thing is that these people act like they actually own the app or have the money to have any type of say so. It's so ridiculous, man. This dude's a flat out loser, man. And seriously, this guy just called Elon Musk a loser. He did. The wealthiest man on the planet, he just called him a loser, while he's complaining about somebody buying an app that he uses probably on a day-to-day basis. You can't make this stuff up, man. The guy who founded SpaceX revolutionized space travel by, making reusable rockets and has ambitions to colonize Mars is a loser. The same Elon Musk who turned Tesla into a global powerhouse, forever changing the automotive industry with cars like the Model S, Model 3, and now the Cybertruck, that dude's a loser. Some of these people, man, I don't know, I really don't know about some of these people. I really don't. I don't understand it. These people really hate free speech. They really hate free speech. They definitely hate the constitutional republic that we live in. They definitely hate that. I would assume that this is somebody that probably is pro-communism, pro-socialism of some sort. It wouldn't surprise me at all. These people hate free speech. And Musk's approach with X, formerly Twitter, it has been all about reducing censorship and letting more voices be heard, even the controversial ones. And that's a nightmare for people used to echo chambers where only approved viewpoints are allowed. And when Musk dismantled the old censorship heavy system, it was like opening Pandora's box. These folks want control over speech, narratives, and who gets to speak. They push censorship in the name of protecting society, but free speech is about letting all ideas compete, not just the ones you like. Not just the ones you like. And Musk's commitment to that principle makes him a target because it threatens their grip on information. It threatens their grip on control. And let's keep it real. This is just a report. We don't know if Musk actually even wants to buy TikTok. The guy's already has a full plate. If I'm not mistaken, I think the dude owns like 50 companies or so. But these people are losing their minds as usual. And here's Kevin O'Leary with the reality check. We got to take a listen to this.
We're hearing reports out of Bloomberg that Elon Musk might buy TikTok. What are you hearing?
Yes, I've heard that report, obviously. I guarantee you for the next 5 days, you're going to hear one of these stories almost every 2 hours. Over the weekend, it was Zuck. He was at Mar-a-Lago. That's public record. There's a problem with existing social media platforms. It's called the regulator. They don't like monopolies. And so, we put our bid in knowing that we're not serving anybody. We're going to make this people's platform with equity crowdfunding, allowing people on TikTok to own a piece of it, beholden to no one social media site that exists today. So look, I'm a huge Elon Musk fan. I mean, no question about it. He's a phenomenal entrepreneur. But the idea that the regulator, even under Trump's administration, would allow this, pretty slim. In the end, TikTok is Trump's deal. He's not giving it to anybody else. It's his deal. He's going to use it for all kinds of leverage. I get it. It's a negotiating tool against China. I get it. But he is the consummate deal maker. He's not going to let this drift into someone else's hands. That's my personal take. I asked him myself just 24 hours ago, are you going to support bringing this thing and keeping it alive? Because I got a lot of businesses running on it, and he will. Let's see what happens next.
Pretty interesting. These folks, they really do need to take a breather, though. They really do. They really need to take a breather. Always panicking before anything actually happens. And honestly, I doubt Elon's going to buy TikTok. I really do. He doesn't need it. But what's more important here is that what really highlights the difference between the left and the right is that Trump's shift in stance on the platform's future. He gets that saving TikTok isn't just about business, it's about protecting free speech. Banning TikTok, or any other platform for that matter, because of its ownership or content, it isn't a real solution. It's actually a slippery slope towards more censorship. And that's the exact issue both Trump and Elon Musk take seriously, and rightly slow. Good Lord, I can't talk. Protecting free speech means ensuring that all platforms, regardless of who owns them, remains open to the free exchange of ideas. Simple as that. Uh-oh. Golly, I hate when that happens, man. Technical difficulties here. Let me reshare.
I can't say I have a strong opinion on TikTok.
So you have an opinion on whether it should be banned or not?
All right. Let me know if you guys can hear that or not. I want to make sure. We had some technical difficulties here, so I want to make sure that you guys can hear that.
I can't say I have a strong opinion on TikTok.
So you have an opinion on whether it should be banned or not?
I'm generally against banning things. So I probably not be in favor. I mean, it would help Twitter, I suppose, if TikTok was banned, because then people would spend more time on Twitter and less time on TikTok. But even though even if it would help Twitter, I would be generally against banning of things. I can't say I have a strong opinion on TikTok.
Yeah. All righty. So there you have it, man. You know, who are the people who ban things? Who are the people who want to ban things to keep people from expressing themselves? Who are those people? It's authoritarians, fascist regimes. You know, they ban websites. And this is really a question of what kind of country do we want to be? That's the question. What kind of country do we want to be? I mean, sure, our friends on the left, they don't want TikTok to disappear. There's a lot of people on TikTok. There's a lot of money being made on TikTok. There's a lot of content creators. It's its own ecosystem on over there. But the moment there's a chance someone that they despise might take control of it, these people flip the script and start throwing tantrums. The whole situation highlights the blatant hypocrisy on the left. They love to champion free speech and open platforms until those platforms start serving their narrative or someone they disagree with gets involved. And for them, it's always about control. They want to dictate the narrative, control the flow of information, and when they can't push for censorship, or in this case, you know, they just flat out throw a fit. And it's the same old story with these people, man. If they can't control it, they want it gone. And let's be honest, this isn't really about protecting users or national security for them. It's about maintaining ideological dominance in the digital space. Their reaction to the mere possibility of Musk acquiring TikTok is a perfect example of their broader stance on free speech. They're fine with free speech when it aligns with their views. But the moment those views are challenged, the moment that there's some pushback, they pivot to censorship. And that's a dangerous path because once you start down that road, where do you draw the line at? Where do you draw the line? You know, in the end, this isn't about TikTok or Elon Musk. It's about the kind of society that we want to build, the kind of society that we want to live in. Do we really want to live in a society where governments or ideological groups decide which platforms we can use, what we can see, what we can say? Do we really want to live in a society like that? Or do we want to live in a society where the marketplace of ideas is genuinely open, where communication can flourish, and people can engage in real discourse without censorship? The left's reaction to this situation shows they care more about control than freedom. And that's something that we should all be paying close, very, very close attention to. Let me know what you guys think about this, man. We covered a lot today. Goodness gracious. We covered a lot today. Obviously, the Hegseth situation. It's just hard for me to believe that a lot of this was going on the Senate floor. That situation out in Chicago with the, where the lady found the C4. Goodness gracious. That's just crazy. And the fact that no one's actually talking about this. I'm reading the chat as I go and I'm looking at this and some of you guys hadn't heard this. This was the first time that you guys had heard about that. You would think that this would be, they would have led with this. I mean, they found C4. You don't just roll up on C4 like that. People don't just have C4 sitting around. Not only did they have C4, they had rifles, they had, fake fire department, costumes or outfits, police outfits, fake IDs, like tactical gear, like seriously. It should be national news. No one's talking about it. It's crazy, man. Crazy. Crazy times we're in right now, man. We really need somebody that don't play a side. They're right down the center and just gives us the news. This is what's happening. This is real. This is what's going on. There's no bias. There's no no party bias, no propaganda being pushed. Just here's the raw information. This is what's happening today in America. It's crazy, man. But I appreciate you guys pulling up today. This was fun, as always. Shout out to you, Ed, man. I do appreciate you pulling up, as always. Shout out to the new ARP family members, Lucky Taylor, Ken Hansford, Kimberly Santa Maria. And I'm shouting them out because they, joined during the stream today. Shout out to the mods, T.A. Caskey. I see you down there, B. Who am I missing? Oh, yeah. Zephyr K9, shout out to you as well. Shout out to the Blues, man. I appreciate you guys, keeping things civil in the chat. Hey, like I said, say what you want. Civil discourse. We don't want to censor. I don't want to kick people out because they disagree with me or disagree with anybody in the chat, but I do appreciate you guys keeping it civil. But I think civil discourse is important. I'm going to keep saying this. I know I say it almost on a day-to-day basis when I get on here and go live, but I do think that civil discourse is extremely important. It really is, man. And I think people should have the ability to debate ideas as long as it's peaceful, as long as it's civil. So, I appreciate those, that do it. The chat seemed like it was live today, man. So I definitely, appreciate that. If you haven't hit the like button, please make sure that you do. If you could share the stream, it actually helps the channel as well. If you'd like to support the channel financially, obviously super thanks, super chats are appreciated. You could join the ARP family, like the 3 that did today, or you could buy me a coffee, link in the description box below. Shout out to our sponsor, Lear Capital. Go over to learrp.com, check out what they have to offer over there. And, again, man, I appreciate you guys supporting me. I appreciate you guys rocking with me on a day-to-day basis. Lord willing, we'll be doing this again tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Stay prayed up out here in these streets, man. There's so much craziness going on, man. Stay prayed up. Keep God first, man. I know it's cold out there a lot of places, so make sure y'all stay bundled up. And we'll catch up with you all next time. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I hope you guys, those that do have to go to work, man, have a great hump day. And I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp,